Have you ever really stopped to think about it? A single day that connects almost everyone, everywhere, through something we all experience work. Today we're doing a deep dive into International Work Day. You might know it as Labor Day, or maybe May Day, whatever you call it. It's really about recognizing workers, isn't it? Celebrating the effort we all put in.
That's right. And our mission today, really, is to dig into the origins of this day, which are, frankly, pretty intense. We'll also look at some useful, everyday English for talking about jobs, the daily grind. And then we'll explore how differently this day is actually marked or sometimes not marked at all around the globe. It's quite surprising.
Yeah, we want to give you those aha moments, the surprising bits and the practical stuff that helps you make sense of it all. Ready to jump in?
Okay, so let's unpack this a bit. Think about maybe your very first job. Doesn't matter what it was, delivering papers, helping out somewhere. We all have that starting point, right? And that feeling, that wanting fair treatment, decent conditions. Well, that brings us straight to the pretty fierce history behind International Work Day. Absolutely. The genesis, the real start of it all, it lies in the 19th century, and the working conditions then were just appalling. I mean, truly, shockingly bad. You hear about it, and you just feel appalled. We're talking 10, 12, some 14-hour days, often 6, maybe even 7 days a week. Just imagine that.
It's hard to, yeah. And despite, a lot of indifference, even outright hostility, like real aggressive pushback from people in charge, this idea of an 8-hour workday started gaining momentum. By April 1886, something like 250,000 workers, 250,000 people were involved in the May Day movement. That's huge. It shows real collective will.
It really does. And they needed it because earlier attempts through legislative means, trying to pass laws, they just hadn't worked. They'd failed to make a real dent. So the labor organizers felt they had no choice but to resort to drastic measures, extreme actions, really, because the normal channels were blocked. Desperate times. Yeah.
Right. Desperate times call for drastic measures. Yeah. So what was the actual tipping point? What finally made the 8-hour day happen?
Well, on May 1st, 1886, a resolution they'd fought for finally took effect. It basically stated that from then on, 8 hours would constitute a legal day's work. That was the plan, the future from that past moment.
Okay, that sounds like a massive victory. But you mentioned things got intense. And yeah, here's where the story takes a darker turn, right? This change came at a serious cost.
A very high price, tragically. Just 2 days later, May 3rd, 1886, police actually fired into a crowd of strikers. This was at the McCormack Reaper Works factory. 4 people were killed, many more wounded. Just incredibly brutal, harsh, forceful, violent treatment. It led to a huge meeting the next day to protest that police brutality.
Wow.
Yeah. We might say, that test was brutal today.
Yeah,
very informally, meaning difficult. But this reminds you of the word's original, much harsher meaning, the true cost of progress. It makes you think.
It really does. An incredibly high price. So
yeah.
How do those struggles from the past, how do they echo now in our everyday lives, maybe even just in how we talk about work?
It's fascinating, actually. There are these common English phrases we use all the time, maybe without even thinking about their connection to this history. Let's look at 3. First, clock in, clock out. Now, literally, it means recording your start and end time, maybe on a machine or an app, but we use it really casually, too, just to mean start work or finish work.
Right, like I clock in around 9, or don't forget to clock out, even if there's no physical clock.
Exactly. Just a natural way to mark the workday's boundaries. Then there's overtime. Pretty common one.
Yeah, working extra hours beyond your normal schedule.
Precisely. You hear things like, ugh, I had to work overtime last night, or he gets paid extra for overtime. It's just part of the work vocabulary now.
Okay. And the third one?
This one's become really big, especially more recently. Work-life balance.
Ah, yes.
Yeah.
Everyone's talking about that.
They are. And it's not just a buzzword. It's about actively trying to manage your job and your personal life healthily. So she's trying to improve her work-life balance, or good work-life balance reduces stress. It's a concept that's really valued now, which is, a world away from those 19th century conditions.
Definitely. Let's hear how these sound in a quick chat. Imagine 2 colleagues, Sam and Laura. Sam might say, "Hey, Laura, are you clocking out now?" And Laura replies, "Not yet. I have to finish these emails. Looks like I'll be doing overtime again." Then Sam could say, "Wow, you've been working late all week. Don't forget about your work-life balance. Laura, you're right. I'll try to leave earlier tomorrow."
See, it just flows. Sam asks if she's finishing, Laura mentions the extra hours overtime, and Sam brings up work-life balance. It sounds completely natural, just friends talking about their day.
So instead of saying I started working at 9, you sound a bit more natural saying,
I clocked in at 9.
or I worked longer than usual
I
becomes,
did some overtime. Or I had to do
and
overtime.
I want to have more time for myself. Could be.
I really want a better work-life balance. Yeah, it just integrates smoothly. And it's interesting culturally too, right? Like overtime pay, getting paid extra. That's common in the US and many places, but it's not everywhere, not for every job. And work-life balance, as we said, it's quite modern. Companies even advertise it now to attract people. That reflects a real shift in thinking about employee well-being.
It's fascinating how the words themselves carry so much weight, isn't it? Not just for daily chat, but for understanding the deeper history and the complex ideas.
Exactly. Let's circle back to some of those key words from the history part, like Genesis. Remember, the genesis of this day.
The origin, the beginning.
Right. It sounds a bit formal, maybe academic, but it points to that crucial starting point. The genesis of the problem, the genesis of an idea, and appalling conditions. We said that means shockingly bad. But knowing it also lets you say you feel appalled. It captures that strong gut reaction.
Like a feeling of horror or dismay.
Precisely. Then hostility. Not just being unfriendly, but that sense of aggression, opposition, hostility from the police, or working in a hostile environment. It implies active difficulty, even danger.
Okay. And the response to that was?
Drastic measures. Those extreme actions people take when things are really tough, when ordinary ways fail. You hear it in news reports, the government took drastic measures, or that saying, desperate times call for.
Drastic measures. Yeah,
Yeah.
got it.
And finally, brutality. The harsh, forceful, often violent treatment. We talked about police brutality, linking straight back to that 1886 event. And then there's that interesting informal use of brutal today. That exam was brutal. My workout was brutal, especially common maybe with younger people. It shows how language evolves, but the core meaning has real historical weight.
So it's not just the words, but how we string them together, too. You mentioned sentence structures.
Yeah, ways to express ideas with a bit more nuance. For example, starting a sentence with an important aspect of something is a good professional way to highlight a key part.
Like an important aspect of customer service is listening.
Exactly. Or an important aspect of this history is understanding the context. It just focuses attention. Another useful one is, it's not enough to simply do something. This structure tells you the basic action isn't sufficient.
Okay, give me an example.
It's not enough to simply follow the rules. You need to understand why they exist. Or for a business, it's not enough to simply satisfy customers. You need to delight them. It pushes for more depth.
Right, it raises the bar.
It does. And that last grammar point, the future and the past. Remember the resolution saying 8 hours would constitute a legal day's work?
Yeah, that was interesting. A past decision about a future outcome from that point in time.
Exactly. It's about intention or prediction made in the past about what was then the future. Like he promised he would call. The promise was in the past, the calling was future from that promise. Or they announced the new policy would start in June.
Got it. Subtle, but useful for talking about past plans or expectations. Okay, so bringing all this together, the history, the language, it's really striking how differently this day, International Work Day or May Day, is actually treated around the world.
It really is a window into different national priorities and histories. Take the United States, May 1st, not a public holiday.
Which surprises a lot of people, I think. They have Labor Day in September.
Right. And that split happened deliberately, historically, partly to distance the American labor movement from the more socialist or radical associations of May Day internationally back in the late 19th century.
Interesting. In Canada.
Canada also does Labor Day in September, like the U.S. The thinking there seems more practical, though they already have a public holiday in May for Queen Victoria's birthday, so another one so close might have seemed like too much.
Okay, practicality. But then you have places like Ecuador.
Completely different vibe. May 1st is a major national holiday in Ecuador. It's really seen as a day to honor workers and their rights, stemming from strong historical labor movements there.
And it's not just a day off.
Often not, no. Companies might do something special, like Canasta barbecue, maybe a short trip for employees. A real gesture of appreciation. It shows how culturally embedded it is. And interestingly, they also have another holiday later in May, May 24th, for the Battle of Pichincha.
So quite a contrast. It really makes you think, doesn't it? What stand out to you when you hear about these differences? How is this day marked or maybe ignored where you live? It tells you a lot.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground, from those really tough origins of the workers' rights movements, the human cost involved,
Yeah, the brutality of it.
to the everyday phrases we use like plucking out or worrying about work-life balance, and seeing how differently the whole idea is celebrated, or not, across the globe.
And understanding that history, that language, it adds depth, doesn't it? It helps us appreciate these big universal things like work and how we're all connected through these experiences, even with all the differences. Which leads to maybe a final thought, something for you to mull over. Thinking about your own work life now, the schedule, the pressures, maybe the search for that elusive balance. How much does it connect back to those struggles, those sacrifices that created International Work Day over a century ago? What does knowing that history make us consider about the future of work? Where are we headed next?